Hello, let's continue our Sudoku adventure with an undigested bit of beef, a blob of mustard by rockratzero. So, coincidentally, I think we have two. This is the second sandwich Sudoku in a row. I was just saying we haven't had many in a while. Now we have two in a row. Not the theme. For those wondering, the theme week for the month always starts on a Monday. So our theme week will be Monday through Sunday. It does not start today. All right. So let's go over the rules. We do have normal 6x6 Sudoku rules, so in each row, each column, and each 2x3 box, we are placing the digits 1 to 6 exactly once each. We also have these clues outside the grid. These are sandwich clues. What they do is they give the sum of all of the digits that are in between the 1 and 6 in that row or column. So let's just use the 7 as an example. If I have a 1 here and a 6 here, this could be 3, 4. So you notice between the 1 and 6, we have the 3 and 4, and those sum to 7. We don't include the 1 and the 6 ever. Just what's inside the sandwich. These are kind of the crusts, we call them. Now, it's not actually accurate to call it the crust of the sandwich. It's actually the bread of the sandwich, and then this is the filling. But for some reason, crust kind of stuck. So we call them the crusts. Anyway. So that is sandwich Sudoku. A 0 just means that the 1 and 6 are next to each other. I just want to be clear about that. There's nothing strange about that. There's no digits in between, so the sum is 0. All right. We also have this singular double arrow. It's called a double arrow because of the way it acts similarly to an arrow. There's just two circles if you played arrow Sudoku. Otherwise, don't worry about why it's called double arrow. And instead, the rules are just, we have two circles. They're separated by a line. The two digits that go in the circles, if you sum them, that has the same sum as all of the digits on the line. So let's just give an example. If this was 1, 1, 2, 2, let's actually make it bigger. 3, 3, 2, 2. That adds to 10, right? 6 plus 4. So that adds to 10. So these would also add to 10, maybe 4 and 6. Or we could even do 5 and 5. So this would be a valid filling of this double arrow. Because 5 plus 5 is 10, and 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2 is 10. All right, that's it. Those are the rules. There's a link in the description if you'd like to try the puzzle yourself, and I'm going to get started right now. Okay, So, I'm not going to assume you watched yesterday's video, so I'm going to go over some basics about sandwich sums first. First thing to think about is, what is our maximum sum? We know the minimum 0, but what is our maximum? Well, the maximum sum, if you think about it for a row, is going to be, the sum of a row is always 21. 1 through 6, if you add them up, it's a triangle number for 6, it's 21. But we never include the 1 and 6 in our sum, so we have to subtract 7 from that, and we get 14. So the maximum sum is 14. That means that this has to be a 1-6 pair, and then the 4 digits that go in between, 2, 3, 4, 5, will add to 14. So we don't have to worry about the order or anything. But what I like to do is I like to make our 1-6s green, and anything that can't be 1-6, just this light gray color. So we can track where all of our sandwich ends are. Now that leads us right into this 12. This actually feels very similar to logic we did yesterday, actually. So kind of interesting to have them back to back. For those wondering, I do a fair setter rotation, and Rockrat was next in the rotation. I had only one puzzle in the queue, so this is the one we're doing. All right. Anyway, maybe it's fun. So let's think about the 12. It's not quite at the 14, right? So it's not 1-6 at both ends. Good thing, because this one's not at the end. But what we can do is we can think about the outies. What is the sum of the digits not between the 1 and 6? Well, if you think about it, we have 1 and 6 in some way, and then in between we have 12. So all of that would add to some amount, and then we can think about the other way. But you can also just think, well, 14 is the max. 14 minus 12 is 2. There's going to be a sum of 2 outside the 1-6. So if you have big numbers, thinking about what's outside the 1-6 is often easier than what's inside the 1-6. And so in this case, a sum of 2 is outside the 1-6, and since 2 is the minimum digit that can be outside, that means this is a 2, and the other 1-6 has to be all the way up here, and then the rest of this column is gray. And the gray is helpful, right? You can see how the gray is helpful because this is also gray. Now we know that the end of this 7 can't be here, right? Okay, so this is a 0. Okay, so 0. Now we have a 1-6 across here, right? This box can only have one more sandwich end, and this box now have only one more sandwich end. So they have to be across here. Because they have to be next to each other. And the only way they're going to be next to each other without putting 3 in a box is exactly here. So what we can do is we can just gray out the rest of this. And so now we have a sum of 6 and a sum of 9. Let's do the sum of 6 first. Notice we don't have the 1. So we can't actually do it in 3. Because if we try to do it in 3, we'd have to do 1, 2, 3. But the 1 is never used in the sum. 1 and 6 are never used in the sum. And so that means this can't be 6 either. So even though 6 seems like it should be able to be 1, 2, or 3 long, it actually can only be 2 long. If it was 1 long, we'd be using a 6 as part of the sum. That doesn't work. And if it were 3 long, we'd be using a 1 as part of the sum, and that doesn't work. So this is exactly where our other 1, 6 is. And then the rest of the column is also gray. Now these add to 6, and we can't do 1, 5, so we're going to have to do 1, 4. 3, 3 doesn't work because it repeats the 3. And so then up here, we can actually put that this is 3, 5. You'll note 8 plus 6 is 14. We're always going to add to 14 for anything non-1, 6. Might as well put 3, 4, 5 here. That does indeed add to 12. So, okay, a 2 sum is going to, a sum of 2, I should say. We're going to have a 1, 6 on either here or here with a singular 2 within it. I don't know which one is the 2. Okay, so I can't quite do that yet. I'm looking at what information we've gotten. We don't know the sum of this column. This is pretty low. This 2 is low. The thing is, can these all be 1? No, this is minimum 3, actually. Let's look at the minimums right now. This is minimum 3, because we have the 1, 6 pair and the 2 in here. This is minimum 1. This is minimum 1. And this is minimum 1. So the minimum sum we could have is 6. So this is at least 4. This is 4, 5, or 6. But it can't be 5 because of the 3, 5 pair. Okay. Which means it maxes out at 8. So if the minimum is 6, we have 2 degrees of freedom. So this is from 1, 2, or 3, but it can't be 3 because of the 3, 5 pair. This cannot be a 6, so this has to be a 1. You'll note that 3 plus 1 plus 1 is already 5. If we add 6 to it, these two have to add to 11. There's no way that's going to work with the 2 here. So that actually resolves our 1, 6s for our sandwich. So now we'll hopefully get all the 1, 6s out of that. It doesn't really matter, though, for the rest of the logic, which one's 1, which one's 6. But sometimes it can help, like, go, okay, well, we actually know that 1 in this box now is here. Sometimes subcoloring the 1, 6s can help, like which one's going to be the 1, which one's going to be the 6. So you can subcolor, and that can also help you find logic like that. And then this is our final 1 in the grid. That's quite helpful. Can we do similar things with 6 right now? Not that I can tell. So this adds to the 2, which means these add to 4 or 6. It could be 2 plus 2 to add to 4. Notice 1 is gone. But it could... Oh, okay. It cannot be 2 plus 2. Because this... First of all, this can't be 2. But even without this... Sorry. Because this can't be 2. That's the easy explanation. But what I saw was... And I already said that this was meant 3. Anyway, what I had seen is that if this was 2 plus 2, these would both be 4. But that's kind of the hardest possible way to prove it can't be 2 plus 2. So there's no way this is adding to 4, because this can't be 3 plus 1. This can't be 1. So this is our 6, and that's green. All right. So this would have had a 14 clue had it been given. This 6 has to be next to the 1 in this column because of the 0 clue. Rest of this column is gray. Rest of this row is gray. Rest of this row is gray. I'm just trying to catch up on my coloring here. Rest of this box is gray. This has to be the 6 then. Rest of this row is gray. Rest of this column's gray. This has to be a 6. And we have all our 1s and 6s. So now we just have to do the sums. Let's see how much Sudoku we can get. This is a 2, 4 pair. Oh, there has to be a 5 between this 1, 6. So that's 5 and 3. That's not a 5. 2, 3, 4 here. Let's see. Okay, so we know the outie, right? Because this sums to 9. So to get to 14, we need 5. So this ends up being the 5. This is 2, 3, 4. That's not a 3. So we still need these to add to 6. How are we doing that? We can't use a 1. So we can't, can we do 2 plus 4? I think we could. If we do a 2 here and a 4 here. The other option is 3 plus 3. So, was my example 3, 3, 1, 1? It would be really funny if it ends up, I didn't do it exact, but it'd be really funny if it ends up 3, 3, 1, 1. Let's see, there's a 2 in between these two. So that ends up being 3, 3. Okay, it's 3, 3, 1, 1. All right, so that's a 3. This is a 4. That's 2 and 4. That's 5 and 4. All right, I think we're just doing Sudoku now. This row finishes with a 5, and the 5 ends up here, and then down here we need 3 and 4. Not yet resolved, but this might help. It does not. This is a 2. Oh, that gives us 4 and 2, 4 and 2, 3 and 4. It eventually helped. We get a deet deet doot in the corner. It is no longer December, so our snow in the corner is back to deet deet doot. I need a 3, which goes here, and I need a 5. All right. There's more gravy than of grave about you, whatever you are. Scrooge to the ghost of Marley. Nice. So I think this one was made for our December theme, but we had too many puzzles for it, so it's just being featured as a normal one. But that's fine. We can be reminded of our Christmas carols. All right. So, cool. This was a neat puzzle. I enjoyed that. The double arrow is a creative way to resolve the 1/6s, and actually having done it when they resolved, it made it easier to finish them, because instead of just treating them as an ambiguous 1/6, we could treat them as individual 1s and 6s, which let us do things like place this one and things like that. So that was neat. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this. I certainly did. Let me know how you did, and of course, if you enjoyed it, why not leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.